Go now to our next guest. He's the Crows' joint stand-in captain with Rory Sloane. We speak of Patrick Dangerfield, our guest. Paddy, thanks for your time.
Rowey, how are we?
And, mate, congratulations. I know it's a stand-in role, and you'll describe how that came about, but a terrific honour for you, Paddy, I would have thought.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, when you first get to the footy club and you look up to players like Simon Goodwin, Brett Burton, you know, you aspire to one day play as good a football as they do and lead like they do. So it's certainly something I think I'll look back on when footy finishes. I'm very, very proud of it.
Can you share any of your initial thoughts or conversations with Sando when it was first mooted about being a co-captain and this was the model the club was going to do moving forward?
Oh, look, I was really excited about it. Obviously, working really closely with Rory, I think he's a really good fit because we know each other so very well. Albeit very disappointing given the fact that the skipper won't be out there for the first half of the season, but we're certainly looking forward to the challenge and can't wait for games to begin.
Your support was enormous for VB, I thought, Paddy, that we've read in the interim. So tell us about that relationship and how important that is for you and for Rory and the team going forward, because you lose your captain, there can be a significant emotional change amongst the group.
Yeah, it's certainly tough, Bone. Certainly VB, he's the lifeblood of our footy club. He's an outstanding leader, a great person, and for him to go down the way that he did, it was certainly gut-wrenching at the time, and still is now. It's still hard to believe that such an innocuous incident can really wreck the majority of your season. So we were certainly devastated at the beginning, but football doesn't really wait for anyone. You have to move on and press on, and we do that. VB will obviously have to go through his rehabilitation, and it's certainly going to be tough at times for him because he will see all the players playing and he'll be on the sidelines. But, you know, if anyone can get through it and get through it quickly, it's certainly him.
Great opportunity for you and Rory to learn almost on the job, but have the resource of a VB very close to you, and he can obviously take a key role in massaging you, nurturing you, helping you through, or holding your hand on the way through. I've read with sort of interest, You really endorsed VB. I mean, there was a groundswell of support for you, Paddy, and people, you know, the public wanting you to be elevated straight away. You've been very supportive of Nathan Van Berlo in his role. I thought it was fantastic.
Well, absolutely. I think people don't always understand what happens behind closed doors and what the role is of a skipper, and they just don't understand what happens inside our four walls. You know, really only the coaches and the players do, not even the administration staff at the footy club really understand. So he's been an outstanding leader for longer than he's been captain for, and I can't speak highly enough of him, and he certainly makes all those around him better leaders and better people.
Now, we understand that, and we've all been in footy clubs, and you're absolutely spot on. What we get to see, if you like, is on-field output. Now, I posed this exact question to VB last week when we spoke to him, Paddy, that I'll do to you. And look, I respect the club's decision, and I certainly respect VB. His credentials as skipper, unquestioned, absolutely. But if it was me, I would have moved on. I thought it was a good time to move the captaincy on. How do you answer that as being one of the guys that are mooted as the captain?
Oh, look, no doubt the most important role as leaders is to perform match day.
Spot on.
And there's no doubt VB was certainly down on his output last season, and he's the first to admit that. But certainly at times he played some great footy as well. I think it was just the consistency at which he performed last year, and I've got no doubt when he gets back he'll return to that consistency, which he had the previous first couple of years as skipper. He was second in the best and fairest in his first year as skipper, and I think he was fifth last year. In 2012. So he had a down season last year, but you know I was certainly back in to respond and to return to the form that we know he can perform at.
Absolutely. You personally ready for the role? The added pressure and scrutiny, is your game ready for that?
I think so. I think a lot of it's trial and error. You don't really know until you experience it. I suppose everyone's in great form in January because you can't lose a game at this time. So I think the challenges come when perhaps your own form drops off and the team might be going well or it might be going not so well. So that's when I think you're really challenged with skipper, and that's why I think Nathan is such an outstanding skipper because he's unwavering in his approach to the game, even when he's not playing his best footy.
Great time of the year, Patrick. You can almost smell the first bounce. It ain't that far away. Be it a practice match, it does not matter. Just get me on the ground and let me play, and you got about 18 days to go.
We do. We were having a laugh yesterday. We just cannot wait for games to start because then we don't have to train as hard. So we're certainly looking forward to that, and the boys are counting down. Sounds like
it's been brutal pre-season this year, Patrick.
It has been. It's been really tough. But I still think we've trained really well and really hard, but we've also been smart at times. You know, when we did have that 45 or 80-degree day, whatever it was, a couple of weeks ago, we zipped down the beach for an afternoon, which was fantastic. But it's certainly been a tough pre-season, but there's some players that are in phenomenal nick, so certainly look forward to seeing what they can do come game day this season.
What was the priority for, not necessarily you, but in your eyes, the team's priority over the summer? What did you want to improve or get right?
I think at the end of the day, nothing beats K's in the league. So, you know, football is obviously incredibly important, kicking the ball well, because if you do that and retain possession, then you don't have to chase as hard defensively. But nothing beats K's in the leagues. That's why it is certainly hard at times to come back from injuries if you're not able to run, because there's no training that you can do this. You know, there's no magic formula. You just have to get out there and do the hard work.
We've heard a few have slimmed down. We spoke to Source last week. He said he had. Radar Riley, another. Poor pleasure. What have you done? How's your body shape? Big Paddy B?
Certainly haven't slimmed down. It's hard when you're doing the amount of weights that we're doing at the moment. Yeah. It's very, very similar to last season.
So all your numbers are the same. Who's your big tip for a big year?
Look, my big tip is two of them, and they're actually living together. So Sam Kerridge and Brodie Smith, I think, are going to have outstanding seasons. They've really set themselves up well with the pre-season work that they've done. I think I'd imagine that both will run through the midfield, and they certainly look ready to take to the next level. And I think when players get to the 50-plus games, mate, which Brodie Smith is at, he's played 54, I think you're ready to take the next step and really become a player.
Yeah, you mentioned it, and I hope you're right, that he comes up through the midfield off the wing and gives that run and dash and carry forward to centre. The other one, Sam Kerridge, unfortunate for VB, but I can see Sam Kerridge maybe, if they want to see him do a similar role to what VB did last year. Is that the call, do you think?
Yeah, it might be. I mean, certainly when one door closes to someone, it opens for another, and that's certainly the case for a position in our midfield, and Sam's certainly setting himself for that position, so... we saw him play a fair bit through half forward last season, and he's got an outstanding motor and he can run all day. So he's certainly suited to playing through the midfield, especially given the fact that rotations now are 120. So it's certainly limited in that area.
Patrick Dangerfield, our guest, co-captain with Rory Sloane for the Crows. Tex Walker sent a bit of a scare through the camp with some minor swelling. He's had his scans. We've all heard he's 100%. Is he back on the track? Is he training, or has he been told to, pump the brakes a bit?
Well, I was really worried as well. The first I saw of it was on Twitter. So
yeah,
it can't be that serious if he hasn't told him. If he hasn't told us himself. No, look, I think at this stage in his recovery, you've got to be certainly very careful with the work that you're doing, and he's certainly pushing the boundaries and really attacking his training. So there was a little bit of swelling there, but there's certainly nothing in the scan, and he had a couple of days off, but he'll certainly be back out training this week.
What's the mood like in the camp, Patrick? You've been there for a long time now, and you would have sensed some changes in the mood over the years, when a team's sort of on the bit or a little bit off? How are they sensing? How are you sensing?
No, everyone's. I think if no matter what footy club you're in, when the end of pre-season comes close, players are certainly getting excited because that's the end of the 3.5-hour sessions in 45-degree heat and the start of playing games, which is what footy's all about, I suppose. So certainly the entire group's looking forward to that. I suppose this time of the year, it's really about refining your game plan and really working on things that you want to implement that we perhaps didn't do so well last season. So that's probably where our training is at the moment, and we've got another 3 weeks to keep working on that before we kick off against Port Adelaide.
Does that mean the snapper will be breathing a sigh of relief that you're not out in the ocean anymore, reeling them in, or what?
I think the snapper can I think they'd be relieved even when I was out there because I haven't had much lately. But I'm told it's always better fishing in the winter this time of the year.
Yeah, it is. Paddy, I just want to take up on what you said previously. Give us some examples of what are the things you didn't do well last year that you need to do well this year. In other words, where are the team improvements needing to come from?
I think a real key area is retaining the ball under real fatigue, and that's something that we've really trained quite a lot and quite hard throughout the pre-season. So we've done certainly a fair chunk of running and then gone straight into skills. So I think when we are under fatigue and really challenged in games, the players that can hit targets and help us maintain possession of the ball are the ones that are going to be playing. So that's an area that we certainly weren't very good at last season, and we'll look to improve because I think the stats speak for themselves. Last season we lost 7 games by under 2 goals. So
yeah,
there's little areas in those games when you lose possession of the ball when perhaps you shouldn't.
Can I drill down a bit with that? Because I do like how the Crows play a high-risk, high-reward footy. You do like to command the corridor. You will pull the trigger to a player that's running, and you did get skunned a couple of times with that. Are you telling us this retaining the ball under fatigue will affect your high-risk, high-reward brand of footy?
No, not at all. We'll certainly look to play through the corridor and move the ball as quickly as possible from defence to offence. I think that's the best way to attack the opposition, is to really attack their last line of their defence and expose them one-on-one. So I think our forward line gives us that. We've got real confidence that the players are able to win their one-on-ones with Podsiatley, Betts, Jenkins. We've got some real firepower up there, and I think we'll see a much improved forward line this season.
Taking the game on, I like hearing that. What about tackling?
Yeah, tackling is something that we've done a huge amount of work with, and we've needed to because it's been an area of real concern over the last couple of years. So it's not only tackling, but it's also, I think, being tackled, being stronger in the body. And I think Hawthorn are probably the benchmark at being tackled but still being able to maintain possession and get a handball off. So that's something that we've certainly addressed and hopefully we'll improve on.
Not many knocks on the great Paddy D, number 32, and in a tackle you do stand tall, you can free the arms, you can release, you can run forward to stoppage, your explosive pace, but Paddy, you do need to pick up your tackling, really, don't you, that defensive aspect of your game?
I think my tackling's okay. I think one of the things that certainly I need to continue to improve on is just your awareness around contests and when other players spread either defensively or offensively, so you have to have an awareness of where your opponent is at all times and I suppose read the game to go where the ball's going to go and not where it is. So tackling is a part of that, but it's not the only part of defensive play.
So is it still a problem that Mark Bickley spoke to us about as you were a young lad at the Crows, where you're either going to kill yourself or someone else? Is that still a work in progress, Paddy?
I think we'd say it's much improved, though.
Much improved, Paddy.
Hey, mate, before we let you go, we know the pre-season's just around the corner. Port Adelaide first up. Have you spoken about it much as a group yet, as to how serious you'll be? You're trying to win them, or are you going to split it and one team plays one week, the other will play the next week, or...?
No, that's something we certainly haven't spoken about. We've really focused on our game plan. I don't think we'll focus on Port too much in the lead up to that game.
Yep.
I'd say during the week we probably will when we play them, but at the moment it's about really refining our own game plan and improving on the things that we've needed to improve on.
Hey, just on Sando, has he been a bit more vocal, a bit more aggressive? What's his pre-season been like? As he has admitted that they may have got a few things wrong last year and a disappointing year. Has he been a bit on the rivet, more on the rivet?
Yeah, he has been. I think he's been pretty impressive given the fact that he has a little bub at home. So I'm not sure how much sleep he's been getting, but he's certainly been bubbly around the club. So I think that may be tested during the season when he's getting a couple of hours sleep after games and throughout the week. So we'll see how we go. And
again, give our regards and our listeners' best wishes to Dean Bailey. Just on it, is he out of hospital? Has he been back at the club? Have you seen him, Paddy?
No, he's still at the hospital at the moment. So, it's obviously an ongoing thing at the moment. And we certainly wish Dean all the best, and we're 100% behind him. And it's certainly tough to swallow because he's someone that's been around the footy club for a while now, and the players know really well, and obviously the coaches. So it's tough to swallow, but he's a fighter and he'll battle on.
Our thoughts with Bales and the family, well said. Paddy, have a great year. Looking forward to that first game, 18 games in 18 days, the NAB Challenge. Keep up the good work. Hopefully you're over the hill and the training starts to taper a little bit and looks like you're as toey as a Roman sandal for the games, Paddy. So, mate, as always, brilliant to have a chat, mate. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Bone. Thanks, Roy. Cheers.
Thank you, Patrick.
Well done.
Paddy Dangerfield, our guest.